All right. Um, Good morning, everyone. Today is February 13, 2025. We are assembled here for Cluster API Provider Azure Office Hours. Uh, Cluster API Provider Azure is a CNCF subproject, meaning we abide by CNCF rules and regulations, and uh, we respect everyone who's here, and we would want to use raise hand feature to speak up. Um, so let me start sharing my screen. Should have done that to begin with. There you go. I hope you all can see my screen. There you go. So have I gone over everything? Yes. So today's let's start by today's um open discussion since we already have Brian here. Brian, would you like to take the stage and get started?
Sure, thanks. I've talked to Willie about this a couple of times the past couple of weeks. But I'm working on a joint project between Microsoft and Red Hat where they want to use a new authentication type called user assigned identity credentials. It's kind of like managed identity combined with client certificate, if you're familiar with those authentication methods, but only a first party Microsoft service can use this. So I've been introducing this upstream and a couple other repos too, but I left the PR as draft for now because I'm trying to get this introduced in Azure Service Operator first, so then I can add those pieces over here in CapZ. Because I know some of the infrastructure uses it, but I just wanted to bring it up and kind of introduce the new authentication method. And then I had added a field for the cloud type, but I'm thinking maybe I should just not have that field and just construct it like CapZ is already doing for Surface Principal. So open for feedback there as well.
Cool. Good, man.
Um, so you say this is intended only to be used by Microsoft first party services,
Yeah,
which yeah, it's just, at a high level, that's kind of weird to do in open source, but I guess that's fine. Um, is but we're not, there's not any actual restrictions here. Like we don't have anything in the code that checks to see that it's a first party. It's just that's the intention of the code, and no one else will probably effectively be able to use it. Is that right?
right. Right. And so like when I've talked with some of the other Microsoft engineers in the project, like they said other first party Microsoft applications could use this authentication type if they want.
Yeah,
Um, but it requires you, the reason that's first party is you have to be able to access the MSI data plane to get the backing certificate for managed identity, and only first party applications can do that.
I see. I think that's great. I think we're seeing a lot of kind of skunkworks interest in first party using CAPC more than we've expected. So we want to encourage that. We're trying to publish, official FIPS images of everything so first parties can be more comfortable with using our binaries and stuff. So I think that's great. I was just anticipating maybe someone with a more purist open source mindset might squawk about, hey, if this feature is only Microsoft specific, maybe it's a little odd. But that's all I was thinking. It sounds great. I don't have any specific feedback, although yeah, the cloud configuration thing is a little interesting because we have other areas I know in the code where we punted on the Go auto rest library, but we aren't really carrying this cloud configuration through correctly. So um, I'd be interested to see how you end up doing that.
Yeah, I've noticed other upstream projects kind of do it all differently, like the cloud configuration, depending on which one you're looking at. But yeah, I think the auto rest is deprecated too.
It is, and we've wanted to get rid of it for a long time, and I tried to just kick it out of the code base. But John Hune was looking at it and realized, hey, this is where our previous configuration for different cloud types was, and we didn't really carry that across the way you're supposed to do it in the new library with this cloud.configuration thing. So I think we dropped the ball. You could probably find some areas in the code where we're not configured correctly to be used in like US Gov or something. And there's still a to do there to get rid of that Go auto rest code because it's double deprecated now.
Okay, I might take a look at that next week and see if I can help with that.
That'd be great. I have not been able to get back to it for a long time. Great, I'll stop
Uh,
talking.
and that's all I had for this one.
Cool chat. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Matt. Sorry, earlier, uh, I didn't bring this up, but if anyone wants to introduce themselves, who's new here, please feel free to unmute yourself and speak up.
Yeah, I just want to ask a question regarding bring your own VMSS nodes to manage AKS clusters, because
Mhm.
I'm having problems with the node machine pool provisioning. And for some reason, my nodes are stuck in a pending state. Um, Let me see.
Did you say bring your own machine pools?
Yeah, I'm doing bring my own VMSS
Okay.
into existing AKS cluster. Wait, how do I? Okay, I see the screen share. Yeah, can I do a screen share?
Yeah, let me share the screen. It should be in here too.
Yeah, you might need to give them
Hello.
permission.
There you go.
A new co-host or
Yeah, give me a sec. Um, it's kind of screwed. Um, you can see my screen.
oh,
No?
Oh, it's quite small.
I can now, but it's too small.
Yeah,
Pardon me, it's too small to read.
I'm trying to zoom in, but somehow it's there we go.
Oh, I can zoom in locally.
Let me stop screen sharing. Let's see
I
if it.
didn't realize that worked.
Let me
Well,
stop.
it's really laggy, I must say here.
Uh, Zaid, do you mind if I stop screen sharing so that you can take over it? You can take over screen share. I think that should help probably.
Oh yeah,
You're not
definitely.
screen sharing for me, Nawaz.
Was I
Yeah,
not? Oh, it
no.
said that multiple participants can screen share, so I stopped.
Cool.
It was fine on our end.
Is it? Oh, sorry about that.
Sorry.
Zaid, do you mind sharing again? Take it.
It does take a while to get going, though.
Yeah, can you see it now?
Now we can. Now I can.
Yeah, so my cluster is provisioned. I have two managed machine pools ready, but this bring my own VMSS machine pool is still stuck at the provisioning state. And if I try to look at the individual machines, it says it's still waiting for Azure Machine Pool machine to report back the provider ID, which I believe is the ARM resource ID for the individual VMSS VMs. And if I if I try to export these CAPZ logs, it shows these context set like seeded errors that are not really indicative. Oh no, that's the OpenTelemetry collector. But anyway, yeah, it just keeps saying reconciling Azure Machine Pool with VM Bootstrap is succeeded. I don't see too much meaningful error messages in this log.
Hmm.
See. Unrelated question, but are you by any chance using MS Tenant?
Nope, I'm using a so-called test tenant. Basically, it's an ephemeral tenant that doesn't have the MS tenant restrictions,
Okay.
but but it's only like limited to 90 days of existence.
Okay.
Oh, is that the BAMI or
Oh,
what is it
yeah,
called?
exactly, exactly.
Oh yeah, we thought about getting those to get around all the restrictions, but we didn't haven't quite gone there yet.
Oh, it's easy. I think it just fill out the form and you would be able to get one.
Is it?
You know,
And we'll try again. Um, I mean, I guess we could increase the log verbosity from the default. Maybe that would tell us something, or maybe we could look at the code around that. But I mean the other thing we should say first, of course, is that this is at your own risk and may not work, not officially supported, etc.
yeah.
But nonetheless, we have used it successfully.
Mm-hmm.
So um, the bigger context of this scenario is we have high performance computing customers that want to run both Slurm and Kubernetes workloads on the same node, underlying physical node, and dynamically switch between these two um, schedulers. So we kind of want to do this first before AKS offers some sort of hybrid HPC plus Kubernetes image support. Um,
Hmm.
so how would I increase the login verbosity?
Um, if let me see, there should be a way. Pretty easy one that too. Build settings. In the container arguments, you would want to increase uh, in the capsy controller manager deployment. If you can
Mm-hmm.
append hyphen v to 4 or any high number, I think that should help
One
it.
sec.
Also, thank you for sharing the link for Dami.
Yeah, I think it's just going onto that wiki and applying for a BAMI tenant with a billing account. That would be
That
it.
that was the hitch. We went through the whole form before, and then the PMs couldn't figure out where to bill it to, and I think it kind of stalled out there. But we should try again.
Wait, don't you have a cost center code
We
for?
weren't sure which one to use, and I wasn't so anyway. That's where it kind of stalled out, I
Yeah,
believe.
just pick someone and the upper level approvers will figure out. That's what I did.
All right,
Yeah.
I like it.
So
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's happening here. Yeah, I don't think any of us have used bring your own VMSS in a while. So I'm gonna try to reproduce it locally and see what I get.
Yeah, so I tried to. Oh, by the way, the VM image doesn't exist for my region, so I built my own VM image from the upstream image builder. I don't know if that
Awesome.
matters.
That should probably be fine. That's all we do. If there's a certain region you need it in consistently, we could consider replicating there.
Yeah, right now I'm just piggybacking on my teammates' VM quota because it's kind of pain to apply for a quota, a lot of regions. So basically, what you do with the test tenant is that the person applying for it, he'll receive the setup instructions for it and basically be the administrator, and then he needs to invite all the other people to this tenant as a member of this tenant, and then once they join, they needed to be granted access in AAD first, and then in Azure portal to have access to both the Entra ID stuff and the Azure subscription that comes with it.
Cool.
And we should give it a try.
Absolutely.
Well,
So
well,
Zay,
yeah,
in
like,
here, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, no, no. I was just going to say, I don't know if we're going to be able to really troubleshoot this live here, but
But you can ask me. I have
it's,
some sort of experience with this.
Yeah, over there, do you see V0? Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen.
oh, there you go.
Um, this.
I like the vertical monitor layout.
Yeah, I figured the I needed this in order to see the logs and stuff. I have one 4K vertical and one 4K horizontal.
Oh, awesome.
Um, just waiting. Cool.
Oh, it shows something new now. Weird.
Um, Another suggestion that if you're testing it out, why don't you use tilt? I think that'd be more configurable for you.
Why do I use what?
Uh, Tilt, a tilt setup.
When
So
build setup?
The make tilt up
Make tilt
target,
up.
the development thing. If you're just doing a test cluster, it helps you uh,
Make
run
much
it
more rapid.
interactively. But I don't know. I guess you could test this there. Why not, right? You could do an AKS cluster and then mess with it afterward.
Yep.
Yeah, because
It,
the upstream goal was kind of getting AKS to work with Slim together, but I don't know. Maybe people would want bring their own Kubernetes better. Because a lot of customers seemingly do that. Um,
Since your subscription, the ephemeral subscription doesn't really have any restrictions at the point, I think it'd be nice to try out Tilt, where you can make a lot of changes on the fly, and the Tilt will take care of updating it, the Cluster API Azure provider.
oh,
it also consolidates and separates all the logs kind of the way you've done here in a nice interface. So it might
oh
be
yeah, that's
useful there.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to add more logs at the desired location, you could just add it in the code and that'll reflect in your image and in your logs.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, thank you, Willie. I think, as Willie said, we haven't, uh, uh, not a lot of us over here have tried out the bring your node, uh, bring your VMSs into AKS cluster. So,
Yeah. So if I set up an Azure Bastion connection to let me in, well, what kind of logs would I need to check?
what kind of logs you said?
Yeah, on the oh, never mind.
On the host itself,
On
you'd
on the VM node itself, VMSS node.
um, and this is hasn't joined yet, so you'd probably want to look at the kubelet log, which I think is var log kubelet.log. Or maybe get it through journal CTL.
Okay.
You probably could. And does QADM have a separate log somewhere?
Cloud in it?
Cloud and Cloud init logs. I guess that's where I'd start. What else? Because everything else will show up, as Kubernetes logs. I mean, through this. So yeah, kubelet, Cloud init. I'm not really sure where else to look.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Well, in the interest of getting back to other stuff, shall we call this good for now? Troubleshoot this
Uh,
offline.
yeah, we can troubleshoot this offline.
Yeah, feel
Sorry, we
free
don't
to
have any more
post
knowledge
some
here.
more context in the Slack and I'll try and reproduce it.
Thanks, Willie.
Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Zayu. Um, Going ahead. Um, we don't seem to have anything else on the open discussion. From the recurring topics, we could either take a look at the Git issues, or if anyone has any suggestions, we could head there.
Sounds good to me.
So let's take a look at Git issues then. We did do a triage of Git issues, I think 2 to 3 meets ago. So we could do something of that similar, where we just scrub through all the issues and assign them a priority. Or since we have already done that, we could also take a look at the labels priority backlog and see if we want to do anything about them. I think, what do you all say?
There's a few new ones that looks like we haven't triaged yet, right? Could do those.
Totally. Minimal permissions required for running CapZ. I think someone was not happy with the contributor access we specify in the quick start.
It is kind of powerful,
Mhm.
but
Very broad.
hmm.
Custom event built into all the
There
containers.
probably is some custom role we could define. On the other hand, you do need permission basically to create anything, almost anything, and list almost anything and destroy almost anything. So maybe there's something more restricted, but it's going to end up being close to contributor, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a very good idea. And if we absolutely require full contributor permissions, we probably ought to document why, because it is a big ask, especially internally.
So do we specify a priority to this so that we can triage it?
Yeah, just to see that we visited it. I guess backlog, unless someone's motivated to move on this. Brian?
Yeah, just to add some context to this, he's actually working on the same project that I am, that joint project I mentioned earlier. Um, he's probably bringing this up because we use CapZ from a self-managed perspective. So we don't need as many, like, we don't need contributor. Like, it's a bit more than what we need. I think we're making a custom role for the CapZ part that we're using, but that's probably where the genesis of this is coming from.
Thank you for that. Cool. The next one is support AKS enabled by Arc. I'm not sure if it's lack of documentation or a missing feature. Deploy an AKS enabled. This seems like a broad ask. Documentation and tests.
Assuming there is some happy path to do this already, which I don't actually know. Yeah, this would also be great. It does seem like it could be a fair amount of work,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's not just all working. So I guess backlog. Although this can change at any time, all we need is a push from whatever team is excited about this, and I'm sure it'll become a higher priority.
Mm-hmm. Only support
This
if
is from JU. Like I
oh,
we just decided it was, or found out it wasn't supported, so it'd be cool to support it. And yeah, I asked John, and he said it shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if anything starts with it would be cool if, then it's definitely backlog priority at this point.
cool. Memory leak in new batch span processor following.
We already
About this
talked
one.
about that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this one, we haven't visited this again. Restore node train spec test from CAPI.
I don't know where this ended up.
Uh, I think we decided that we're just not looking at it for the near
Hmm.
future because
It,
the CAPI test is too specific. It's
yeah,
like,
from the
yeah,
So maybe we should give this priority backlog explicitly too.
yeah,
priority backlog, and webhook should handle writer. I remember this one.
Oh yeah.
Um, I don't know how important this is. Um, this this feature would need change from the controller runtime itself. Basically, we are saying that, hey, we are not going to handle webhooks as an abstract or a contract as controller runtime defines, but we want to handle it by ourselves. Um, so I don't really know if there's not a lot of ask. So maybe you could just leave it as is. What do you say?
Well, well, if we don't assign it a priority, then we come back in a week and we forget that we've already looked at it,
That's fair too.
talked about it, but I agree. It's not actually causing problems we've sort of worked around this in the real world at this point, right?
Hmm.
So um, probably not that urgent.
True. Oh, oh, my bad. It's not a proposal. Priority. Since it's high priority, then awaiting more evidence. Maybe we add more evidence to this. Lowest priority.
Okay. Well, all right. But you guys, we already went through this and we know that we kind of designed it. That we need more evidence that this is a real world problem, but the design problem is evident, right?
Hmm.
That's fine. That's the lowest priority, I guess.
Then more evidence. This one, VM extension provisioning error with build Azure Sig Ubuntu 2204 CVM.
Hmm. Is this related to the other one next to it? The other VM extension provisioning error? Oh,
Copy this one. Cluster is not reachable. Oh, is this person using MS Tenant?
this is a cloud init. Something's wrong with the cloud init logs, probably, or because the VM extension failed. And I think they looked inside. No, next in the next comment.
Sorry about that. Uh-huh.
I'm seeing the same bug in the DRA E2E test that I'm debugging actually. Something
Oh,
about CNI plugin not initialized.
ENI plugin not initialized on the node itself.
Yeah. That's why I kept asking John about like why there's some Windows issues with there's like Windows templates and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know how to further debug it honestly.
Sign
Yeah,
certificate from the control plane.
have to try and repro somehow.
Well, I have been seeing this error way too many times in my local testing. VM extension provisioning error, and I always thought it was because of the communication errors which we get in because of MS tenants.
Yeah,
Because I would not run into this if my UDP ports are open, um, and I have not peered the VNets uh, before the control plane comes up. So if I try to peer the VNets after one control plane comes up, then I always run into capz Linux bootstrapping extension error. Um, but it's interesting to see that someone out there is also running into this error.
Yeah, because that error means that there's something wrong with Cloud in it.
And that's fair. Cloud Init is basically, I was trying to understand this from CAPI and Cloud Init, the Cluster API provider, Cluster API bootstrap provider, kubeadm, CAPBK, is the one which initializes a node. And uh, CABPK stores a bunch of credentials in one of the secrets. And if you try to mess up, say, the API server endpoint or the other stuff, it will result in a broken cluster. And if I try to peer networks or try to hijack our communication in by peering VNets, that will result into broken cluster because the control plane is not yet set up. Uh, but I don't understand why that would happen in this scenario where the user is probably not an MS tenant, and yet they're running into this. It's worth asking. I don't know if you want to broadcast that if the user is an MS tenant. Do you think it'd be fine?
yeah, I would ask. I don't think. I mean, it's not sensitive information on its own that someone's using a certain tenant. I don't think, and there's definitely a non-zero chance that one or the other of these people is running into that problem. So we should probably ask.
Yeah, by the way, it's kind of relevant to our scenario, but regarding CABPK, do you think it would work if I just run the CloudInit script on some other VM to join that VM to an existing AKS cluster, given that I already retrieved the secret that contains the CloudInit script?
Um,
Yeah, you
I
should be able to run it again, right? Or I don't know if it's intended to be idempotent, but that's all that kubeadm does.
Like, what kind of network configuration do I have in order for this to work? Is there any specialty to it?
I, I don't think so. Basically, kubeadm is trying to know, hey, what are my API server endpoints and my certs locations and all of it. So I think another user was also trying to do the same. It's in the Slack thread itself. They're trying to use AKS and bring your own nodes, and probably trying to run kubeadm by themselves on one of the nodes and then try to join that to AKS cluster, and they're not able to.
Oh, that's not good to hear. Yeah,
Yeah,
because we're trying to
let me CC you
basically
there
we
and
have
then.
existing infrastructure that is bootstrapped by something else, and before we can figure out how we switch the bootstrapping pipeline entirely to Kubernetes, which is not gonna happen anytime soon, we try to like bootstrap existing nodes via this mechanism, this cloudiness script that Capsy conveniently provides.
Sorry, I missed that over there. The last part.
Yeah, we were just leveraging the cloudiness script that Capsy conveniently provides to maybe try to enroll existing VMs to an existing AKS cluster?
Um, I haven't really visited bring your own nodes VMSS before, so my knowledge is a little limited here.
Okay.
But I just tagged you in the channel thread, uh, chat thread. I think this is similar to what you are asking, what the user is also suggesting. Meanwhile,
Okay, I see it.
switching back to our triage. This will update of private IP after creation of Azure cluster. What is this? Yeah, this is more of a web thing. We can assign this the lowest priority because no one's really asking for it yet, and it's an internal feature. What do y'all say?
Sure. I mean, I think you should do backlog because awaiting more evidence suggests
Hmm.
we're not sure it's real yet.
API server internode communication spec should be specified as a different spec. Yeah, at this point, we are trying to uh, populate the front-end IP of a API server LB to define an internal LB specifications and IP. And my proposal here was that, hey, it should exist as a different spec altogether. Uh, Backlog probably. It's not a blocking issue or something. Issues. Okay. Help wanted, important soon. This we have been pretty much using it. It's just that it's not completely baked.
Well, if we do help wanted, then we don't put a priority on it.
That's fair. Yes. And update other dev templates, non-VM to leverage. Um, I actually wanted to get your opinion on this. Do y'all think if it's worth uh, exporting out all the other templates to use the API server ILB solution? The goal of this issue is that right now, as of main, there are two flavors: API server ILB, which manages self-hosted workload cluster, and API server ILB Windows for a hybrid cluster with Windows nodes. This issue is asking if we should export all the existing templates, that is AAD, Azure Bastion, Azure CNI V1, and all the other ones, to also use API server ILB. I have been trying to do this a little bit, but I don't know the value proposition of that if we really need it. Any thoughts or comments? Cool. You're about to say something, Matt?
No, not. I mean, the only thing I could think of is it would be good for us to be consistent, but I guess I don't have any more meaningful input.
Oh, it's help wanted. Unblock MS tenants for CAPZ development. That's the Uber issue. So seems like we have triaged the page one at least. Um, Do we want to visit the page too as well?
Like we visited most of these, maybe not all of them.
True. In
Hey,
that
Willie.
case, yep. In that case, maybe for today we could call it a day. Or do we have anything else to revisit or look at?
Nothing from me.
Cool. All right, everyone. Thank thank you for joining in. We shall call it a day today then. Right.
Thanks, Noah.
Yep, thanks
Thank
everybody.
you.
Right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.